Hello, everybody. Welcome into today's episode of Forte Catholic. I'm so glad that you are here. Liv Harrison is back after her hiatus last month. Gives an update on her life. We talk about a big update in my life and how I'm just completely and utterly worthless, and I couldn't be happier about it. We also talk about the woman at the well, being chubby. It's just quite a Taylor and Liv episode. We hope that you enjoy it. If you do, please hit the subscribe button wherever you are watching or listening. You guys are the best. I hope that you enjoy today's show. What's up? Welcome to Forte Catholic. I am Taylor Stroll, and back from the dead is Olivia Newton-John.
I was wondering how you're going to handle that because I gotta say, her death really made me sad. Taylor?
I mean, honestly, I don't know much about her other than the fact that I've called her her name for years. But yeah, I mean, Olivia Newton-John died.
She's
That's
gone.
been your nickname on this show for years.
Yeah.
You've been gone for months. I kind of thought y'all were the same person for a little while.
We
I gotta find a
same.
new co-host because Olivia Newton-John died.
It's true. Hot blonde from Australia. Me. It's samesies.
Right.
It's just,
Right.
It's hard to tell us apart. No, and it is sad though, because she really was an incredible person, but you're 9 years old, so you wouldn't know who she is anyway. So anyway.
Yeah, you want to give her a little mini eulogy since she's your namesake?
I do. Because for the longest time,
Here, you keep talking, and I'll play my trumpet mouth.
Olivia Newton-John, thank you for all of the things that you gifted us, your beauty, your kindness, your skill set, your craft of acting, your voice, and your smile. We will miss you, but you will forever be in our hearts and forever be on our posters of Xanadu and Greece. May God rest your soul. That was a really
Rest in peace.
That was really nice.
That was awesome.
That was
completely unplanned. I love that. That was so good. That's one of the best things we've ever done.
It was a little emotional. And now, end it now, because we just did something amazing.
Well, that was what the Catholic. I'm Taylor Stroll. That's Olivia Newton-John. We'll be back next week. See ya.
We can't do anything better than that.
Oh, 2 minutes in.
Also, that's
was
the
great.
quietest you've ever been on the show.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't interrupt you because I had to be very focused to play my trumpet.
And I didn't know you could play trumpet. That was really amazing. Anyway,
Oh, yeah.
I'm impressed,
Yeah.
Taylor. I'm impressed.
A new skill. Yeah, your eulogizing skills, like your perfect timing. It was great. And we're so proud of each other. So
High five, virtual high five. Ready?
Yeah, exactly.
Go. There we go. All right. Yeah.
You just
That
punched
was
me in the
sad.
face. We just slapped
And we're
each
back.
other.
And we're back.
Yeah, exactly.
Moment's over.
So I think the big update for the people who haven't been listening over the last couple of months, but if you have, you know that 4 weeks ago we did a big episode 300, and the whole goal was to get all of the hosts together, and we learned our lesson that I don't know if Olivia, you've been pretty busy, but we've all been pretty out on how the episode 300 went, and we think it would have been even worse if you would have been there. So we're kind of glad it all worked out the way that it did. But you were a part of episode 300.
I tried. I clawed my way in. Yeah, for sure.
You recorded super late. You came home from the hospital. We'll explain why in a little bit. But you recorded, and essentially you told the story of like why you couldn't be there, and you shared some of your favorite moments on the show and all that kind of stuff, right? But the most feedback that we got for episode 300 wasn't about all the conversations that me, Father Anthony, Allison, John had. Like everybody reached out and was like, hey, we're praying for Liv and her family. Hey, we're praying for Liv's dad. So explain why you weren't with us.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Explain why you skimped out on me in the podcast and why you don't love me and all that kind of stuff.
Well, besides that, the other reason is, my dad's super sick and he had to have open heart surgery. And I was a little naive, which Taylor knows. I mean, we all know that I am the eye candy of this show. I have a very specific skill set of what I bring to the table. Besides
I have
my
a very particular set of skills.
exactly. Besides my hotness, I don't really have anything else that I contribute. Definitely not my smarts. So I did not figure, Taylor, your episode 300 is on the 26th. My dad's having open heart surgery on the 25th. I should be there. It'll be fine. Not understanding what that really meant and how sick my dad would be. So he has, really fought his way back from this surgery, and he's still fighting the good fight. He is home now. There was a little touch and go with stuff, and just to protect his privacy, I'll keep most of it at bay. But I can't tell you what it means to me that everybody was praying and really being there. And Taylor knows I was really sad to miss. Like, he knows my heart was with my dad, and I was actually in ICU with my parents. Like, I was taking care of them. And since they got home, I've made meals and things like that. So I'm being the dutiful daughter. But anyway, so Taylor was very kind and sweet, and he was the one who said, "Liv, stop. Like, we'll figure something else out. Like, you're being ridiculous." I'm like, "I'm in a waiting room with my phone." And Taylor's like, "You're being ridiculous." So anyway, you guys have been awesome.
Oh yeah, just to be clear, that wasn't out of any care for you. That was just because I knew the audio quality wouldn't be very good. That's why I told you not to come.
I just set that up for you. I was really being kind. I was really taking the moment from Olivia.
I don't know. Here's what I don't understand. You've had a very stressful month and a half.
Oh, man, you have no idea.
Here's what I don't know what you're doing, because your recap of the story and my recap of the story are very different. And I came out of your version of the story looking really good.
Yes.
And I don't think that's how I was at all.
But this is how I love Taylor, and I love you, and I want the world to love you. I don't want them to know all the things. I know you're struggling too. Poor Taylor. Anybody who's watching, you're going to see him yawn a lot. That is a direct correlation of what he feels about me. No, that's not true.
I'm just bored out of my mind every time we talk to each other. No,
he's always like, "Liv, more energy. Liv, come on, be entertaining." No, you're exhausted. You're an old man, Taylor Schroll. You're old, man.
You'll like this. We're gonna move on from your dad's very serious medical condition into what I think you'll find is a funny medical condition.
I'm ready.
You'll never guess what illness I got tested for this week.
Was it COVID?
No.
Oh.
You don't do that around here.
I know because you're like every other Texan. "Well, I don't believe in that virus.
Yeah,
I'll just shoot it."
Ironically enough, it's probably what I had. But I did get tested for something.
Ooh.
Something that I didn't know was a thing for non-teenagers that were cool.
Mono!
I did. I got tested for mono.
It's legit. My 8-year-old had mono. She's never kissed anybody. You don't have to just kiss.
I don't know if your 8-year-old's telling you the truth.
Well, she's not 8 now, but you drink out of people's we've shared drinks. You're the worst. Yeah, you totally could have mono. You don't have it?
No. They tested me for mono, tested me for strep. Essentially because I keep going to see the ENT, and he's the one, I keep bringing it up, but he's the one that just said "Oh, you're not sick, you're just fat." That's essentially what he told me.
Dad? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you just need to lose weight and everything will be fine.
My childhood.
So he just doesn't care at all, But but it was kind of funny. I was like, I didn't know for me, it was the popular kids in high school that got it because they were making out with a bunch of people. So clearly I've never had it before. So I didn't know that it was an option for people my age and my level of coolness.
And less popular than they were in high school. No.
And to be fair, I've still never had it. So, but I've just been so tired. So yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with you. But let's just say for this episode, I'm just picking myself up by my bootstraps and trying to be entertaining because I'm exhausted and I've wanted to do nothing this week.
I think you have COVID. I really do. But you refuse to test it.
Oh, I think I'm depressed, but that's a whole nother thing.
Oh, we'll talk off camera. That's when the real good stuff happens.
Yeah.
That's the good. We need to have an after hours, Forte Catholic. After hours.
That'll be, never say that again. Never use that voice ever again.
It's for the Patreons. Yeah, go ahead.
I do have, that shows how much you love me. I canceled my Patreon 2 years ago. Thanks for keeping up. So I have a very fun update for my life.
Okay.
But you shared a sad update.
I did.
So I feel like
Yeah. Well, but he's
two
still
sad
here.
updates. Olivia Newton.
Yeah.
John is dead. Your dad almost did. How's the rest of your life going?
Oh, we don't want to go there. Your turn. You talk.
You had some good. I'm surprised. It's a Friday
That's
afternoon as we
true.
record this. You're drinking a beer.
Taylor, I put it off to the side. I didn't want anyone to know.
It is 2:21 on a Friday afternoon. Why are you drinking a beer? And the reason I pointed out is because it's very it's not a normal thing for you.
It's not.
So
I love
you're
Shiner.
In a good mood. Why are you in a good mood?
This is to give me liquid courage. This is to put me in a good mood. No, I just finished doing an event. A couple of things. I just moved my kid in. Well, I have 2 kids. The old one is 19, and I just moved him into Franciscan, first year at college, because he took off a year to be a missionary with Vagabond. So he starts school on Monday. I don't know when this comes out, but anyway. So he'll be a freshman. But actually, after this year, he'll be a junior. He has enough credits and everything. He's taking 24 hours. So I moved him in. So it was a very mom thing to do. I flew in late last night. Flew in, landed. My 12-year-old daughter, I went to her American Heritage Girls meeting. How mom is that? I moved in a kid. I was at a meeting.
No idea what that is.
Exactly. And then this morning, I was an MC for the American Alzheimer's Association. Walked in Alzheimer's. So cheers to me.
So
I'm having
they
a Shiner.
inducted you to the Alzheimer's Hall of Fame? What was going on?
No, I was the MC for it. We do have this.
Your connection to the Alzheimer's community?
My grandmother, Laffity Laffer, died of it. She had it for 16 years. But my girlfriends who are in the junior league with me, you hate that club, but I'm in this women's organization, junior league.
I don't. You do.
I
have no connection with it. I've only heard negative things from you. All about Judy and Leanne.
Stop it. He's
and
making
Jody.
Up all these people. They invited me to be on the board for the American Alzheimer's Association. They have a big walk to end Alzheimer's. They have like thousands of people come to the Woodlands, thousands. And it's going to be October 15th, and it's to end Alzheimer's disease. And it's just really, really cool. So like today I helped write this program of what we were doing. We're doing a luncheon today. We're trying to get all the fancy people to come and give them fancy food. It was at Tommy Bahama's. And we want to entertain them, tell them the research that's happening in Alzheimer's, and share some cool stories. And this
Kinda
guy,
sounds like a strip club.
yeah, this guy, he did a TED Talk. He did the Trans-American bike thing, like where you bike from Oregon to Virginia.
I have no follow-up questions about that event.
75 years old, his dad, he had just gotten diagnosed with Alzheimer's. They did it. It took 73 days. So I went on stage and I interviewed him, and it was great. We raised some money today. So I'm having a Shiner.
Oh, to be a housewife of a rich man. I mean, your life is just so stupid.
What in the world with that has anything to do with my husband? And he is not.
Who else gets invited to be on the Alzheimer's Association board? Like, that's so dumb. Your life is so stupid.
I was the MC. I was working, Taylor. I was a working mom today.
You were a working woman at Tommy Bahama's. That's what I took away.
All right, listen, I am a trophy wife, Taylor. We've all covered this, okay? I don't do much. Can we please talk about you?
Sure. I just think it's just so funny that we've just missed you so much. It's in your contract that you have to say every episode you're a trophy wife, and you've done it 3 times already. So
because I have nothing, Taylor. I've got no life. This is it.
You have the Alzheimer's Association board. I'm sure you're on another boards that you have tertiarily been connected to for some reason. You know, we want to come on here and just tell stories about old people biking across the United States. Yeah, that's what the people came for. Thanks for that. I'm so glad you're back.
I hate you. I hate you so much.
So,
you really are tired. That's the most you've ever let me talk on the show. Can you tell I'm not prepared? This is like the least prepared I've ever been for the show.
It was one of those things where I was just like, I'm just going to let her keep going.
I
want to see if there's a point to this, and there wasn't. And now we're all having a good laugh about it.
Oh God. Okay, Taylor,
so
go.
Your life and my life are very different. That actually leads into the update about my life.
Okay.
Olivia, this has been one of the most transformative weeks of my entire life, and I'm not kidding.
This week?
This week, yeah. So, like I mentioned, we're recording this on Friday.
Yeah.
Tuesday, something very, very big happened, and then Wednesday, something else big happened. So we joke about your husband being incredibly wealthy, you know, like, and we joke about it because it's true.
Oh,
right?
jeez.
But I would like to make an announcement here, Olivia.
Yay!
For the first time in my life,
Yes.
and I'm thrilled about this.
Okay.
For the first time in my entire life, I'm worthless.
God, I hit that a long time ago. What took you so long? Wait, what happened? What does that mean?
Okay. What that means is my net worth today, my net worth as a human being, is finally up to $0.
You're debt free?
I am debt free.
Ah, Taylor! What? That's huge.
Here's how this happened.
Yeah.
So this has been going on for months and months and months. And, working for the church and working in ministry, you don't make a ton of money.
You don't roll in the dough there, Taylor? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
So we've been in 5-digit debt for 10. We've been married for 10 years. We've been in debt and just drowning financially for 10 years. And then so over the summer, I'm an idiot and I don't have money, so I don't know things, But over the summer, I knew that the housing market was booming, right? Mm-hmm. And I knew this, and I kept getting these emails from my realtor. Hey, your house that you bought for $119,000, it's worth $180 now. Now it's $190. Now it's $200. Now it's $210. And I'm like, every time I'd come home, I'd look at my house and be like, "There's money in there, and I can't get it out."
What if we burn it? Will the money be there? Yeah. Where is this money?
So this summer, I was like, I told my wife, I was like, I think we have to move, because being the only I don't know stuff. So I figured if that's the only way to get money out of your house is to sell it to somebody, and then you take the money.
Did you sell your house?
No. So it was kind of stressing me out. Money was really has been really tight. And, we lost a ton of money in COVID. That's been a theme over the last 2 years. It's just been really, really tight. So I was like, okay, there's got to be another way to do this. And I heard that people your age, super old people get reverse mortgages, and that's not good.
Every episode.
I heard that there were bad kind of loans or second loan. I didn't want to do that, right? Because that was just kind of kicking the problem down the road. So I started looking it up, and I found this thing called a cash out refinance, which sounded pretty good. It's I'm going to refinance my house, and I'm going to take the cash out. Mm-hmm. That's the difference. Mm-hmm. But because my house was $98,000 more than what I paid for it 7 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So I saw it. I Googled it. I saw all these options, right? And I saw this option. And so my old spiritual director, who's a Catholic banker, it's kind of weird. He's a banker that has a master's degree in theology. But I went and I met with him, and I was like, "Hey, is this real? Am I being duped by this? This seems kind of, it could not be good or whatever." He said, "Taylor, not only is it my recommendation as your banker, but he's also, when I was a young married man, didn't have a ton of money, I did this within the first 10 years of my marriage too. So he did it himself, right?" Mm-hmm. So it took months. We've been working on this for months. So last Thursday, we closed on the refinance of the house. So essentially how it works is we essentially take out a loan for the new price of the house, what the house is worth now. We have to put a down payment on it. So $40,000 was the down payment on the new mortgage, right? So $100,000 difference. 40 of it went to the new loan. 10,000 was closing cost. The other 50 immediately went off to pay off all of our personal loans, credit card debt, all that, a lot of the COVID kind of stuff, debt and all that sort of thing. So we were completely debt free, other than the mortgage.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously, we have a new mortgage.
Sure.
It's about $60,000 more than it was.
Mm-hmm.
Monthly payment went up a little bit, but now we're not having to make monthly payments on all this other crap, all these other loans that we had. So we're just on top of the moon, right? And the last loans that we had, we Biden 2 years ago was I'm going to get rid of $10,000 of student loans. So we're okay, well, we'll just pay out. We were working on paying off all those other loans, because why would you pay something that somebody said they're going to pay for?
I'm going to get this for you. Yeah.
So sure enough, we closed on the house, completely changed our life. We got the money Tuesday, immediately paid off all of our debts.
Wow.
Still had some money left over. And we were just kind of waiting to here on our last loans other than the mortgage, which was student loans. We had paid them down from very, very high numbers, and we both had like right around $10,000. We're like, we're not paying another penny. And sure enough, 24 hours later, Biden's like, yeah, they're gone. I'm like, hooray! So legitimately, this week,
you're a bajillionaire.
Like $60,000 to $80,000 in debt just gone, and I'm finally worthless, and I couldn't be happier.
Now, what are you doing with the extra cash? Do you want to talk to Nathan?
Yeah.
You
so
should.
I've been trying to
really
call your
should.
husband for 3 weeks because he's a financial planner.
He
and
is.
I'm
He's
finally
a financial advisor. That's what he does.
Do I do a 401k? Like, what do I do now?
All right. He will call you after. You guys will talk because, he will help you.
So, yeah.
And
for
he
the
doesn't
first
charge,
time in my
so
life,
he's free. So you're still worthless. So look at that.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy to be worthless.
Congratulations, Taylor. I always knew you were worthless. So.
I finally lived up to your expectations.
You finally came through.
I was less than worthless, and now I am worthless.
Finally,
so
oh god,
it was pretty crazy because like obviously this week people have their the
it's a
internet
hot
has
topic.
Once again been divided.
It's
right?
a hot because we needed something to argue about as a nation.
Yeah,
we were really lacking on that. So
all I'm gonna say,
Yep.
is your friend Taylor is a very, very, very happy recipient of that money, and it was like it was one of these things for us. It was like it was the last thing. Like it was the last thing, and we had probably $15K left over that we were saving. Like, hey, we might need to pay off the student loans or whatever. We've paid 60, 70, 80 off already. So for tax dollars to finally pay for it, I'm thrilled by it, right?
Jeez.
And I get that like other people can be mad that thank you paid for it. My whole life lives by donations of other people, so this is not news to me. It's nothing new. So I'm happy about it.
Good.
And like it was one of those things too that like, I mean, the big thing was the house, right? Like we got this huge influx of money, and it was just kind of cool to like, we never really saw it. We just transferred the worth of our house into this debt that we had, and like I'm wondering if like this week I should be on top of the world, and I've just been laying in bed all week, and I think it's the stress of the last 10 years finally like, setting in because it's over.
Right. Like it's like you just gave birth. You've been in labor all this time,
Yeah, I know
There's a
exactly
moment
how that is. I know exactly how that feels. Like, I paid for the doula so that they could help my wife with the last one. Like, I know exactly what that
No, but I think that's a very good point. I think your body probably, that's the thing. We do not get how stress truly just circulates mentally and physically in all the things. So that makes sense. You deserve to rest, Taylor. You're, old now. You're in your 30s.
Yeah. So the cool thing was this thing with the house just kind of dropped into our lap because I didn't know it existed. It took some effort, some energy. It took a lot of people working on it together, with my banker and the other people at the bank and Sam and all this stuff. But kind of the blessing, not kind of the blessing, like the thing that I realized was essentially the big surprise of our house being $100,000 more than it was. That's almost the exact amount of money that I lost in the last 2 years because of COVID.
Really?
So just like seeing it took a long time, and I'm not saying that it makes all the last 2 years better because the last 2 years sucked.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like God's providence of like, hey, there was while you were losing money because of all the things that happened, he's like,
here you go.
Here you go.
I still got you.
You just got to do it.
Yep.
So yeah, huge kind of weight off of our shoulders. It's still kind of setting in. Like it's literally changed our lives, and I don't even know what that means yet.
Yeah,
I got to talk to your husband.
Yes,
He's dodging all my phone calls
because we don't want to mess this up. Dodging your phone calls. You're the worst.
Yeah. Okay. Well, don't go anywhere. Whenever we come back, I'm going to talk to the ghost of Olivia Newton-John a little bit more as we continue our show today. Enjoy. Guys, I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is this is our most recent review on Apple Podcasts, where you can all leave a 5-star review. This person left 5 stars. It says, great podcast. Keep up the good work. Short, simple, to the point, proves that it can only take you seconds to go to your podcast app and leave a review. The bad news is 2 things. 1, this is our latest review, and it was March 23rd of 2022. Guys, what are you doing? Thousands of you listen every single week, and we have 137 total reviews ever in 7 years. Why are you being so lazy, man? Why don't you want to lift my spirits? Why don't you want to make me and the other co-hosts feel good about themselves for just a moment in our crappy lives? Guys, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to the podcast, leave a 5-star review. Say something very kind. And I forgot to tell you the other bad news. The bad news is that this person is named Brisket. Just simply Brisket. The bad news is that's a weird name, and it also makes me hungry. I'm going to go have lunch. Y'all enjoy the rest of the show. Welcome back to Forte Catholic. I am Taylor. Welcome back to Forte Catholic. I am Taylor Schroll, and I'm exhausted. And that is Olivia Newton-John Harrison Harris. Olivia.
Yes.
Kind of piggybacking off the end of our end of our last conversation. I saw this quote the other day that really gave me some pause, like not like the animals have, but it made me stop and think. It said, "Remember the days that you prayed for the things that you have now." What are your first thoughts when you hear that? Remember the days that you prayed for the things that you have now.
That I don't recognize when I actually get the things I prayed for. You know, it reminds me of that
Exactly.
that Garth Brooks song, you know, Unanswered Prayers. Were you old enough for that song? I mean, you've got the cover of his CD behind you, but besides that,
No,
that's the most Garth Brooks thing ever.
I know what a Garth Brooks is. And I know that he has an album that looks like this because people keep pointing it out.
He does. But have you heard Unanswered Prayers? Have you heard that song?
No, I've said a lot of them. But I haven't
It's
heard
a great song. It's such a great song because he goes through this whole thing like he was in love with this girl in high school. She was gorgeous, blah, blah, blah. So in love with her. And then he sees her like 20 years at a football game and, you know, all this stuff and and he looks over and he sees his wife and he's like, thank God for unanswered prayers. And it's really beautiful. Like the whole concept of, you know, but I think it goes along with what you're saying. Like, there's a lot of things that I wonder, but that was the answer. Like God was like, oh, great. You want a beautiful, fantastic wife? Hold on a second. It's not the 15-year-old you're looking at right now. It's going to be this, you know, hot ticket that's coming down the street. When you're 15, Taylor.
God's like, wait 3 years and it'll be fun.
You're the worst. You know?
If you have 3 years of patience in the Lord, he will deliver.
You're disgusting. Who's the old person now? Anyway, but yeah, I mean, I think that we think because we don't get the answer we want, but I think it's a very good point. You know, there's a lot of stuff we've asked, and like, look at you with your $100,000 from your fancy house, Mr. Money Pockets.
Well, that's the irony is that the house sucks, so I need to use some of that money to fix it up. I feel like the house is worthless too, and I gotta like spruce it up a little bit, you know, like just like you have to like wake up every morning and like put like an hour and a half of makeup on.
Yeah,
like I feel like I need to do that to the house, you know.
I am your walking house. No, I get it. Yeah, it's a good analogy.
Yeah. So I think for me, I heard it and I was like, I think I'm really bad at being thankful for the things that have been answered in my life. I think I'm pretty bad at it.
Because like, you don't recognize it, or because it just never occurs to you to say thank you? Because I feel like those are two different things.
I'm always looking to the next thing, right? So I think like, you know, you talked about dating, right? It's like, you know, for years as a kid, I talked earlier about how I wasn't super popular, didn't have a ton of friends, and definitely wasn't dating a lot. It's like I was longing to be loved and needed and wanted by a girl, right? And then I finally got that, and then I was like, she's not pretty enough, and then I would date somebody else, right? Like I was just like, you know, just kind of looking for the next thing. And then like obviously, like you said, like I'm incredibly happily married now to a super hot wife and everything. You know, we made babies and it's all been very good, right? But I think professionally is where I really don't see it. Like I've talked about on the show the last few weeks. It's like we are so close to getting partnered on YouTube, which would just be awesome for us. It would do two things. One, YouTube would start promoting our stuff like for free, and then two, we'd start making money off of all the videos that people would watch. Like it'd just be great all around, right? And so I look back like 2 years ago, and like I remember like how cool it was when like, you know, 10 people would watch the YouTube video of the podcast, because the podcast had been around for 5 years, thousands of people were listening every week, and like that's great, right? But like 10 people were watching the YouTube, and I was so happy, right? And then I remember the first one that got to 100. And I was like, that was awesome. And then I remember when we got to 100 subscribers, and that was awesome. And then we had our next big goal of getting to 1,000 subscribers, and we hit it. But I like wasn't happy about it because it's like you need the 1,000 subscribers and you need the 4,000 watch hours, right?
Right.
So then we got the followers, and then I was like, the next thing's the subscribers, and the watch time, and it's like I need that, and it's one of those things. It's like I won't be happy until I get this thing, and then I get the thing, and I'm like, well, now let's go to the next thing, and it's kind of like a positive thing professionally of like, let's keep working, let's keep striving, like it's a good work ethic. But on the negative side of it, it's like I'm not happy.
You're never satisfied.
It's like. Right, exactly.
Yeah, you're Alexander Hamilton for all the Broadway people, or you are Give a Mouse a Cookie for all the people with little kids. It's like
you got a reference that'll work for me.
You have little kids. You don't read Give a Mouse a Cookie? Come on.
No.
What? It's a great book. But that's a great book because
give your dad a cookie. Leave me alone.
No, well, that end of the book. Yeah, well, with the mouse, it's like if you give a mouse a cookie, he's going to want a glass of milk. And if you go in to get him a glass of milk, he's going to see the bananas on the table and he'll want a banana. Like it goes to this.
Who wants a banana with a cookie?
Listen, I knew you were going to say that because I knew I was remembering. I don't remember what the third thing is. I just know it's the milk thing. Anyway, so the book continuously, and then eventually he ends up like, and because you gave the mouse a plate, he's gonna want a cookie. Like it goes full circle, you know? But there's a whole series. It's if you give a pig a pancake, if you give a mouse a moose a muffin.
Who's giving pigs pancakes? It's just wasteful.
You are the worst. Anywho.
Like even though my whole financial life just changed, I'm still a poor kid at heart, and I'm like, why are you giving pancakes to pigs?
You want to talk about Hamilton? We could talk about the musical Hamilton.
I don't remember it. I watched it a long time ago. That's why I asked if you had a thing that would work for me.
I knew
Apparently
it.
the answer is no.
You'll never be satisfied, Taylor. But I think that that's a cross that you have. That's a cross that you've had since I've known you. Way before you started having the success you've had. But we've talked about this on different levels. Like I struggle with it with my physical appearance. I'm really struggling right now. I hate the way I look. If you look at a picture of 10 years ago, she would die to look the way I look. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
But that's what I'm saying. But I look at myself right now, I'm disgusted. Like I am absolutely repulsed, disgusted. And it's awful. It's an awful way to live because when is it enough? When is it enough? And what is the answer for that? You know, like obviously God, but I mean, we're human. So be real.
Yeah, I think the answer for you is pretty similar to my answer.
Don't eat.
In the last segment. No. It's not, I didn't go from poor to millionaire in a day.
Yeah.
I went from poor to worthless. So it's like, I think you just need to realize it's like, you're not
a supermodel.
You're not
a
supermodel, but you're also not 400 pounds anymore.
Right.
It's like you're perfectly okay. And that's what I think really needs to set into your heart. You're a perfectly okay human being.
I am an okay human being. Thank you, Taylor.
It's such an upgrade from where you were 5 years ago, 6 years ago. It's the incremental.
You went from repulsive to okay.
I mean, that's a huge thing.
I mean, it is.
Like,
you're not wrong.
If somebody offered you repulsive food and then they were like, never mind, I'm going to give
Here's
you this
some okay
food. Wouldn't you be thrilled?
No, Taylor, I want some bad A food. I want some great food. That's what I want.
I like that we ended this conversation about your weight loss with you going, I want
food. Listen, just like you can't make yourself an unpoor kid, you can't take the fat girl out of the girl. Like she's in there. She's in there.
Take the fat kid out of camp, but you can take the camp out of the fat kid.
Can you? Can you? I don't know what we're saying. Yeah.
But like I look back and I was like, I did this show for a year where the average listenership was like under 100 episodes, like an episode. Under 100
listeners per episode.
Under 100 listeners per episode, right?
What do you get that like in 10 minutes? Like
yeah, I mean, like legitimately when
insane.
It goes up, like we immediately get 200-300, like immediately when it
it drops,
right?
Yeah.
So it's like I can't celebrate that until I like stop and look at it. Like I've been trying to this week of like trying to be thankful for the things that have happened professionally, like with the show, because like I I think because I'm so like focused on growth and continual growth, right? And the show like here's the thing is that the show the first year was getting like an average of like, let's say 100 listeners an episode. The next year was like 200, 250. The next year was like 500. The next year was 1,000. And it's like, we've just kind of slowly increased, 50, 100, 150 more over the last 2 years. Like COVID just kind of killed that growth, right? Where it's still growing, it's not doubling like it was at the beginning, right? So it's this weird thing where it is still growing, but I'm like, well, it's not growing like it used to.
Mm-hmm.
Where I would much rather have thousands of listeners every week than hundreds, which is what we have, but it's still like not growing at that rate. So it's just this weird thing. It's all about like kind of how I'm framing it to myself. Yeah, and I think I'm just kind of like not thankful enough for answered prayers, whether it's professionally or personally or whatever.
So what are you doing? How are you doing?
I mean, we're doing the first segment. We're looking at the things that are like super big answered prayers and being like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's still a part of me that's like, I don't think I'm going to be happy until we get YouTube partner, which is like, I don't think it's like I'm broken. Like I know that that's a broken part in me, but it's just like we've had this goal for so long.
Yeah.
And we were so far away that it didn't bother me when we were so far away.
Of course.
But now that we're so close,
it's
just like, I'm not going to be happy until I get it.
Uh-huh. No, I hear that.
I'm broken.
Oh, this is interesting. I can't wait till it happens. And then I want to be the one that you talk to about it. I want to be the co-host that you come back because I want to interview you.
Well, you'll probably cancel our recording because you'll be like, oh, my mom's sick.
You're the worst. I'm buying a jet plane. I can't come in.
My unanswered prayer. I couldn't buy a jet. I had to get a 50-passenger plane. Sucks. Freaking Nathan wouldn't buy me a full jet.
Do you watch Friends at all? Is that your show ever?
I've watched every episode.
Okay, so when they're like, "Oh, I'm so rich. My 50s are too." What is it? It's my diamond shoes are too tight and my wallet's too small for my 50s. There's a line in one of the episodes, and I say it all the time because it's kind of like what you're talking about.
I have them all memorized, and clearly so do you. So I'm glad we're finally talking about an example that's on my wavelength. I'm really happy about that. You bring so much to the show.
Oh my gosh. Really? Because you quote verbatim? Anyway, I'll find it. But it's reminding me of that. It's like, when you have, first of all, you're saying you have diamond shoes. Like, that's insane, You have this incredible, you've built an empire. I've got your face on my shirt, Taylor. Like, this.
Yeah, those don't sell very well. I had to give it to you for free.
You owed me a shirt. Like, what the heck? I mean, after 4 years on your show, you should at least get a shirt. You should have like a tier program. You know what I mean? Like on 10 years on the show.
I co-hosted Forte Catholic and all I got was a stupid shirt.
There you go. See, exactly. So yeah, no, I think you should. Yeah, I think you should be more grateful, Taylor.
Thank you. Here's how I'm trying to solve the problem.
That's what I want to hear.
As I was thinking about this, here's how I'm trying to solve it, and clearly not solved yet. But here's how I'm trying. Because when I was thinking about thankfulness, I thought about, just popped into my head, this famous prayer that the Jewish people have around Passover. I'm sure I'm going to mispronounce it. Dayenu, right? And I didn't know it by that name until just now. All I typed in was the words that I know. Like, if he had just done this, then we would be happy, right? Have you heard this prayer before?
No. How did you hear about this? But go ahead.
So like Seder meal stuff. Have you ever been to a Seder meal? Okay. So, people argue whether Catholics should do it or not, but we totally have. So leave me alone. So,
no, I think it's cool.
Essentially like learning, cause it's one of those things like learning about Jewish customs. Cause Jesus was Jewish and clearly like he died right around Passover. So he was at a Passover meal. And so one of the things that our Jewish friends say is this prayer, and they say it in Hebrew, but not clearly. I have the English translation because I already butchered the actual name of it. So it just, if he had just done this, then that would have been enough. If he had just taken us out of Egypt and not made judgments on them, it would have been enough for us. If he had made judgments on them and had not made them on their gods, it would have been enough for us. If he had made them on their gods and had not killed their firstborn, it would have been enough for us. If he had killed their firstborn and not given us their money, it would have been enough for us. If he had given us their money and not split the sea for us, it would have been enough for us. If he had split the sea for us and had not taken us through it on dry land, it would have been enough for us. If he had taken us through the dry land and not pushed down our enemies into the sea, it would have been enough for us. If he had pushed down our enemies in the sea and had not supplied our needs in the wilderness for 40 years, it would have been enough for us. It goes on and on and on. It's like the whole story of like the early chosen people of God, right? Mount Sinai, getting the Torah. If he had given us the Torah and not brought us into the land of Israel, it would have been enough for us. If he had brought us into the land of Israel and not built us the chosen house, the temple, it would have been enough for us. So it's just this consistent, like, if God just would have done this, it would have been enough for me, for him to be my God and me to be his people, me to be his person, right? And so I think what I'm trying to do is kind of have some kind of litany of that. Like, if I would have just spoken at one event ever, it would have been enough for me. If I would have just recorded one podcast and one person listened, it would have, other than my mom, she doesn't count, because she would have listened anyway. If one person that is out of my immediate family would have listened to the show, it would have been enough for me. If the show would have stayed at 100 listeners a week, it would have been enough. Like, that's what I'm trying to do, and trying to tie like my lack of time of thankfulness, because it's like, I'm like, oh, thanks God, and moving on to the next thing and like working towards the next thing, right? So I'm trying to combine those two things.
I think that's great. And that sounded like if you give a mouse a cookie, but the Jewish edition. Did you not catch that?
I don't know what you're talking about. I thought I could have made that clear, but I need to be very blunt with you.
Be more clear, Taylor. No, I think that's really great. I think that that's very interesting. And I don't know. Well, here's the thing though. Let me ask you this, because in youth ministry, which we've both done, I don't know if you taught your kids like the proper way to pray and that you should always start with gratitude, like Thanksgiving. But I think what's interesting is that, like what you're saying, I don't know if anybody's ever taken the time to say specifically what you should be saying thank you for, like what the gratitude should be. I think it's a very like profound moment to say, you know what, I'm going to think back, like an examination of conscience of what I have been praying for. What has happened? Like, how has it transpired? And that will be the first thing that I say to God, will be that vote of thanks. You know what I mean? And then going into the rest of the prayer. But no one ever says like specifically what you should be grateful for, or like, you know, oh, you should be grateful to God, or you should have a gratitude journal, or you should be thankful. But I think what you're bringing up is really interesting, because I think we need a little direction on our gratitude. What are we grateful? Oh, I'm grateful for life. Okay. Like, we're all grateful for life. Like, I don't know. I think we're kind of too general with it. And what you're kind of calling us all out on is, guys, be specific. Be intentional about your gratitude. Really notice it.
Yeah, it's just like literally every, like, you know the whole Anchorman thing. It's like, Brick, are you just picking out things in the room?
Yeah, I love them.
You love them.
Yeah,
it's like,
right.
I remember when I didn't have this nice camera and I wanted a better camera, and I prayed for and I asked for donations and got this camera. And I remember whenever I had a crappy camera and I wanted to upgrade to a $100 camera, and I got that one. I remember when we didn't have lights, we upgraded to these lights. It's like, I can go further and further and further, right? To things that are less silly and more serious. It's like, I remember the days where I was desperately praying for a woman that I loved and that could love me. I remember all the days that I've prayed for healthy kids, and I have healthy and happy kids. I remember for all the days that I prayed for a roof over our heads. And not only do we have a roof over our heads, but it's been an incredible blessing, especially this week. It's like, I've prayed for all of these things at some point. And how many times have I just haven't said thank you enough, where I'm just like, oh, that was nice, you know? And I think part of it is that, like, we can get to the point where it's like, oh, I did it, right?
Ooh.
Like, I was charming enough. I got a pretty girl. I tricked her into marrying me while I still had hair and a six pack, you know? Even then it's like, oh, I was strategic. I got married early because I knew that I needed to, you know? I could be like, oh, you know, like I earned this stuff. I earned this camera. And it's like, no, like, that was the generosity of God and other people, right? It's like, I earned, having healthy kids because I'm a generally good person. It's like, no, like, I didn't earn any of that. Just like in the same way that, like, they'd be like the Israelites taking credit for, like, oh yeah, we walked through the Red Sea and we totally defeated the Egyptians. It's like, you didn't do anything.
Right.
You know, like,
right. You've been complaining the whole time.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, I think I have been this week, just
Yeah.
kind of looking around and being like, I'm incredibly thankful for that.
You've had
that
a lot
blanket.
more answered prayers than you realize.
Yeah, and I think it's because, after 2 years of none of my prayers being answered, they finally have been. So I think that might be why it's on my mind.
You didn't die from COVID. That's an answered prayer, Taylor.
Not yet.
Jeez. Golly.
All right. Well, whenever we come back, we're going to talk about the woman at the well. And I wanted to talk specifically to Liv about that because we all know it's so similar to her life. Don't go anywhere.
You're the worst, Burr.
I've been talking about our friends over at Select International Tours for a little over a year now. I think they're the best pilgrimage company in the entire world. We've built up a great working relationship with them as they are sponsors of the show. And I've been telling you to go visit a certain website, fortecatholic.com/tours. Let's just say we might have a major announcement the next time Father Anthony's on the show. But until then, if you want to know about a little secret that we're keeping, fortecatholic.com/tours will bring you right there. I think I'm just going to leave it at that for now. They're the best pilgrimage company in the world, and we might want to do something with them. Check it out, fortecatholic.com/tours. Welcome back to Forte Catholic. I am Taylor Stroll, and I remembered my name this segment. That's Olivia Newton-John Harris. So something else happened this week that just about made me cry, which is weird. It's a very weird thing to
you're all
about.
mushy and smushy inside.
I am smushy. That's what my ENT keeps telling me.
I didn't mean it like that, Taylor. We already did the fat jokes in the other segment.
Yeah.
We can't do them multiple times. People are going to send us chocolate. All right, go ahead.
No, it'd be great.
I mean, I'd love it.
Mailing address on the website. So we've been in a drought for 9 weeks, and it rained this week.
The state of Texas. Let's be a little specific. Yeah, state of Texas.
No, Bryan College Station has had it pretty worse than just about everywhere
Okay,
else.
all right.
Seriously though, y'all have had rain in the last 9 weeks. It's ridiculous.
You're hilarious.
Go
ahead.
Legit. Like my parents live close to y'all, and it would be like, oh, it's 99 degrees, and here it was 121. It was ridiculous. God was so mad at us for some reason. I don't know why. But it rained in our community, and like for me, it was just kind of I think a lot of the depression stuff came from we were stuck inside. Like the cabin fever stuff for 2 months, over 2 months, because it was 115, 110, 120, 105 constantly. We're just stuck inside, couldn't do anything, driving each other crazy, all that kind of stuff, right? But then also, in our community, we live in an agricultural community. So it's like people are all around us, their crops were gone, their farms were dying, everything was dying, right? And so it kind of hit me in waves. It's I was just so happy because it's I've been sick and I've been kind of dried out and it's been so dry here and all this kind of stuff. And I was just I finally feel like there's some life coming, water brings life. Yay. There's some life kind of coming back to our community, but then also the people that I've been walking with and doing life with, it's their jobs are back and they can start doing stuff and everybody's kind of getting a reprieve. So yeah. It was just very, very exciting that it rained, and I was just why am I emotional about rain? But that's how bad it was. That's how again, just kind of something that I just kind of had to trudge through, and then it was over, and you're just oh man, that really sucked. That was kind of hard while I was going through.
No, but that's I never really thought about that. I think what's the most interesting thing that you said was that you think that's where your depression is coming from and the being stuck inside, because we hear about the whole, people in the North, they have those SAD machines, SAD, whatever it is. What does that stand for?
Never heard about that.
Yes, you have. And it's a light, and it's called a SAD machine, and it's solar something. Somebody will tell us. I don't know, Andy, somebody. And you hook up it to wherever, and you're supposed to stare at it for 30 minutes. Well, not with your eyes, but so you can get vitamin D, so you can get sun, because if you live in a place that is so dark and gray and rainy and depressing, you will go through depression. I mean, you will have winter depression, So they came up with this machine. But I don't think anybody's
they
ever...
couldn't have named it better?
Well, I think they wanted you to know what you were buying. I think they're should we just hide it or should we just come right out? And they're let's just put it out there.
They're hey, somebody... I could just be in that pitch meeting. Hey, we should call it the happiness machine because it brings people happiness. No! We must call it the sad machine.
Because they're sad. But
I
no
thought you were
one
like talking about phones or something.
No
Like,
one-
"Oh, look at my phone." Makes me sad.
But Taylor, no one's thought of to come up with a drought machine. I'm trying to sit here saying, like, this is your next thing, man. That's kind of
Just a
brilliant.
hose. Bring a hose inside. Just stare at it for a while, and stop making you sad.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I'm just saying that's a good point. Like, we get the whole concept of like, if you live in Canada or you live in, Alaska, there's 10 months without sunshine. That makes sense. That's depressing. But I think that's interesting. Like, what other environmental factors are affecting our emotions? And you just nailed
I'm going to play you a song with my mouth trumpet, and we'll see if you can guess it.
Okay.
Based on the conversation.
Oh,
we're
I'm
having.
excited.
Anytime she goes away.
Your sunshine.
Ain't no sunshine when she's gone.
Aw.
I need a sad machine.
Now make it about rain.
Yeah, exactly.
Rain is the she in the story. No, but I just think that's a little interesting. I don't know. What other things are environmental factors in what brings our emotions? Because you're actually kind of a great litmus test, Taylor, because you're so like, I don't have emotions. I'm Taylor Schroll. And then something happens and you're so funny because like I go through depression. Allison's talked about depression, and Taylor's like, bull, all that's whatever. And then you're like, guys, I haven't had rain. I am so depressed. Let's talk about it for 30 minutes. If I came on the show and said, Taylor, I really want to talk about my depression this week, you'd be like, shut up, Liv. Let's talk about something else. But you definitely are lit.
It's not talking about depression. It's just I don't want every episode to sound exactly the same. Because if you had your way, every episode we would do the same show every month.
Every time.
And the first one would be about your first segment would be about your weight loss.
Yep.
The next would be about your depression.
Yep.
And then the next would be about
your depression. I don't know.
Sure. You being a trophy wife. That would be the
Oh, that was it. That was it. See, I'm not used to it yet. It's a new title. Yeah. So I'm just saying I think you would be a good factor for that because you're a pretty all-American kind of a guy. So anyway.
I have two emotions usually, happiness and anger. And
you talk about the anger one a lot.
I've been feeling in between those two recently. I need a sad machine. But so towards the end of the drought, like because it's rained a couple times now.
Are we technically out of a drought? Technically?
Yeah. I don't. Nobody comes here for technical weather information. It's raining now, and my grass is growing back. I don't know what you want me to tell you. But let me get back into things that I know what I'm talking about. You're like, oh, no, let's talk about the Fahrenheit and the Celsius. I'm like, no.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I forgot where I was. So, go ahead. I'm back.
During the drought, towards the end of it, we went on our second men's retreat, and it was, so everything was dead, like 11,000 acres of death, like just the grass was dead. The animals looked sad, they needed a sad machine for the kangaroo we saw sitting sadly under the tree.
You did not see a kangaroo.
I 100% saw a kangaroo sitting under a tree.
Was it a real one? What does that mean?
No, it's made of plastic. Yes, it was a real kangaroo.
Well, how did it get there?
A plane or boat? I don't know. Again, asking me questions I don't know about. I was at a ranch and I saw a kangaroo with my eyes.
So they own the kangaroo. This is an owned kangaroo.
It was in the wild. Yes, they own the kangaroo.
I didn't know you could
do
that.
Jack. It didn't come over on its own volition.
I didn't know you could buy kangaroos and own them. I'm going to look into that.
Your husband's rich. You probably have 7. You look in your backyard.
That's a good idea. I'll go look in the backyard, see if I got a kangaroo.
Whole house of windows.
You're the worst.
House made of glass.
Part of it.
Anyway, there was a kangaroo. I didn't know that was going to be a whole diatribe about it. So it looked sad. That was the whole point. But while we were out there, like the ranch hand, I don't know what to call him, the guy that it works on the ranch and he has hands. So he was telling us that I didn't think about this because it's like an hour outside of civilization, but it's an hour outside of San Antonio, like a big metropolis, right? Mm-hmm. But their whole system is based off of wells. So if they want water to do anything, for the people to drink, to be able to give water to the animals, to be able to I drove through a river when I was there.
Your car went through the river. Yeah, for real.
It was just a river. It was just dirt, right? It was just a riverbed. it was all the water's gone. And he was telling us that like they were very worried. Like 8 weeks in, all the wells were dried up. Like there was no water in the well. Like the whole point of the well is you dig really deep and then there's just kind of infinite water, right? The wells had dried up. That's how dry it was here. So we were like, well, what do you do in that scenario?
Yeah.
And he was like, well, like for us to drink, like we just go into town and like buy Ozarka or whatever, right? But it's like we have to like limit showers or not take showers or like, I mean, like it was like affecting their life that much.
Oh,
right?
wow.
And he was saying, so like every group that came out there, they were asking for prayer. And we joked that the priest was going to do a rain dance and all this kind of stuff, but he was telling us, we were like, well, like if it doesn't rain, like what's going to happen? Cause they were like at the end of their rope. Right. And he was like, the only thing that you can do if a well dries up is 1, wait for rain. And that wasn't going to happen for weeks. Or 2, what they do is they go into the well and they start digging deeper. Right. So when you're digging a well, you dig as far as you can until there's just a big flow of water, and then you're good. Right. Until there's a drought for 2 months. And so there were people like literally digging the well deeper. So, I mentioned that we we're going to talk about the woman at the well. And so when Jesus goes and talks to the woman at the well, he said that he has living water, and those who drink that living water will never thirst. And there's been so many times, if you've listened to the show more than twice, you know that like there's times where like my faith feels dry and I feel like my prayers aren't being answered. And so essentially Jesus saying he has living water and those who drink of it will never thirst. It's like, I've drinking of the living water of Jesus. I've been in times where like my faith was on fire and everything was going well. And I felt like super deep in my faith. And here I am now, feeling super dry in my faith. So I'm like experientially, I'm like, how does what Jesus said ring true for me? Right. Like, because I feel like I've drinking of this living water and I'm thirsty, right? Like spiritually dry. He says that it will be like a spring of water welling up to eternal life. So he even uses the well imagery there, right? Because, they're at a well. But I thought it was really interesting that like I would have never known this about wells. So the ranch hand was saying that like they've had people in the community literally going to dig deeper. And I thought it was so fascinating because whenever I feel dry in my faith, what I can do is just be like, I'm just going to give up and wait for it to rain again, which to me is like, I'm just going to give up on my faith until God decides to pour his grace on me again, But what essentially I think Jesus is saying here, and what Jesus in the ranch hand is how the Lord talks to me these days. He's like, if your well runs dry, it's not that it's the water's gone, it's that you haven't gone deep enough. Right.
Ooh.
And so I'm sitting here thinking like, yeah, it's like I need to dig deeper. I need to go further into the well of faith because it's like there's water there. There's living water. And I know that Jesus can't be a liar. Right.
Yeah.
So if Jesus is saying that he has living water and I'll never be thirsty again, it's like maybe I just need to dig a little deeper in like instead of like giving up, being like, well, I'll be a good Christian again when it rains, just like starting to dig deeper of like I need to get into faith and scripture and prayer and going to mass and going to confession and these sorts of things. It was kind of a wake-up call for me from this ranch hand that
and the kangaroo.
I don't think you knew what he was saying at the time. Yeah, the kangaroo. Yeah, we're still stuck on that kangaroo, huh?
I can't move past it. That'd be
I
really
give this
cool.
big old faith thing and you're just like, so what was the kangaroo's name? It's like, I don't know.
How'd you know? I totally want to know that. No, but I like that would be a really cool youth shirt though. Like dig deeper. You know what I mean? Or like the dig retreat or something like that. Like I kind of love it. Like I love
I think that was the theme for P90X. You remember that?
Yes.
Dig deeper.
Was it? It probably was. I have no idea.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. No, but I think that's so let me ask you this. Had they found any more water since they started digging deeper? Do you know? Did they actually get it? They did?
Some of the wells, they were able to. Some of them they weren't. But the good news is that either way, it has rained since then. So I think everybody's doing a little bit better.
So dig deeper, everyone, and wait for rain. It's a both and.
Yeah. So that was the last real point of the show. You want to hear something really funny?
Yeah, always.
There's no water in this whole area except for this one place. They had dammed off this river. So there was still water in this river. And I really wanted to go kayaking. We went kayaking in like 2 feet of water. Just like We'd just be going and pushing, and all of a sudden we'd just stop suddenly because we hit the ground. we kind of putzed around
That's
for like
hilarious.
an hour in like a 30 by 30 yard.
But if you fell in, you'd be fine. No one could drown.
Oh yeah,
It's
just
like
walk out. It was
you
totally
just walked
funny.
out. You're like, this
was
is
so
depressing. That's fine. That's
Well-
the most privileged thing I've ever heard you say, Taylor.
Oh,
You
it
went
was great. Yeah,
kayaking in
That-
2 feet of water.
that and the kangaroo. So
Hey, I love it. All right, dig deeper. I kind of like that. I think that, I like what you did today. You actually gave some pretty good stuff today. I gotta give it to you. Even with you being tired, you threw down some truth. You told us to find gratitude about prayers and dig deeper. That's what I'm taking away. So thank you.
I'm so
shocked.
glad when my co-host of
shocked.
4 years are shocked when I say something positive. So
Well, that many
makes
things.
me feel great.
That's a lot.
Well,
of
I
many
did have
things.
things to be thankful for coming in today's show, and I'm all out of things to be thankful for now after my hour conversation with Olivia. I hope that y'all enjoyed it. I know she did. I did not. I'll be back next week. She'll be back in a month. See ya! Thank you guys for watching and listening today. I hope that you enjoyed it. We had an absolute blast. If you did, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, leave a review, and maybe share with a friend, somebody that you think might enjoy. Two Catholic podcasters calling each other worthless and chubby. It's so much fun. We hope that you enjoyed it. Hit the share button, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we will see you guys next week.